guys, I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I'm going to show you how to make rice balls. They're Italian classics. They're called Arancini. These are going to be the classic rice ball with the meat filling in the center. They're so delicious. Let me take you over the ingredients so we can get started. You're going to need some lean ground beef, some chopped onions and garlic. These are just some chopped canned tomatoes, some frozen peas that have been defrosted here, a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. Now these are the ingredients you're going to need just to make the filling. Once we're done with the filling, then I'll show you the remaining ingredients. So let's get started. In this pan with high sides, I've got a few tablespoons of olive oil, and I have that preheating so that I want it nice and hot. That sounds good. I'm going to add in my ground beef, and I'm going to break it up as it cooks because I want the pieces to be as small as possible. So just break it up, and you want this to cook for just about 3 to 4 minutes, if that. I mean, it might take less than that. You want the ground beef to be mostly cooked through. It doesn't have to be cooked all the way, just mostly. And I'll show you what it looks like once it's there. So the ground beef, it's mostly cooked through. I'm going to add in my onions and garlic. Now, if your ground beef is really fatty and it gives out it renders out a lot of fat, then you can just drain some out. But I'm not worried about it because, as you can see, it's really not that much, and I want the little bit that I did give out, I want to cook my onions and garlic in. So I'm just going to leave it there. Season this mixture with a little salt and pepper. You don't need a whole lot of it, because we're going to season the whole thing with, once it's all pulled together. But you know me, I like to season every layer of the dish. You get a really nicely balanced flavor that way. So I'm going to let these cook for about 5 to 6 minutes or until the onions have softened, and then I'll show you the next step. Now to this, I'm going to add in my chopped tomatoes. And it's not going to be super saucy, and you don't want it to be, because this is going to be the filling. And if it was too runny, then it would kind of make the rice balls fall apart. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down to medium-low, and I'm going to let it cook for about 15 minutes, and then I'll show you the next step before we pretty much assemble them. And then we'll get to frying and eating, which they're so good. But let this go, and then we'll kind of catch it all up once it's ready. That's looking really, really good. Now to that, I'm going to add in my defrosted peas. I'm going to season this well with some salt and pepper, because this is pretty much your last chance to season the filling itself. So you want to make sure it tastes delicious. Give it a nice stir. And I'm going to let this cook for about 5 minutes. I just kind of want to heat up the peas all the way through is all I'm doing. And then I'm going to put the mixture in this bowl, pop it in the fridge to cool it completely. And when I see you back, we're going to assemble the whole thing. So once your mixture is totally cooled, you got that ready. You need some egg yolks and some cubed mozzarella. And then this is going to be for when we form the rice balls. Now what I've got here is one batch of my white risotto, which I already have a recipe on laurinthekitchen.com for it. So go ahead and go get that recipe and then make a batch. I actually made this yesterday and put it in the fridge. So now it's perfect to make rice balls. Now let's add in some egg yolks. This is going to be what pretty much holds them together. Go ahead and just mix everything in. You want to make sure that those egg yolks, you want to make sure that you keep them in the bowl first of all, and you want to make sure that the egg yolks are mixed all the way through the rice. Okay, so that's ready. Now you want to have on hand a baking sheet with some parchment paper, and you're also going to want to have on hand some water. And this is because the mixture can get quite sticky in your hands, so I'm going to dip my hands in some water, and then nothing sticks. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take an ice cream scoop, one of pretty much my favorite tools in the kitchen. I'm going to make a little indent into the center of each one. I'm going to take some of the filling, put it right into the center. You don't want to put too much, because then what can happen is it can explode. One piece of the cubed mozzarella, and then you gently want to enclose everything together. This is going to take some practice, and it's definitely time consuming, but I promise you it is so worth it. Admittedly, it's not something I make on an everyday basis, but when I do, it's special, and that's why I like them. So close them up, put them on your baking sheet, and get going on the next one. Once you have all your rice balls formed, you're going to pop these into the fridge for about a half an hour. They need to firm up. And in the meantime, I'm going to set up my dredging station, which is just going to be some flour, eggs, and breadcrumbs. And I'll meet you right back here to dredge them and then, well, move on to the next step. Once your rice balls have been chilling in the fridge for about a half an hour, you're ready to pretty much coat them. You want to do your dredging, make your dredging way ahead in advance. Just get yourself ready. And all I've got here is some all-purpose flour, some eggs that I've just beaten with a fork, and these are some Italian-style breadcrumbs, but you can use regular plain breadcrumbs. So this is how easy it is. You want to coat them in the flour. The flour is necessary because that's where the eggs sticks to. Then you dunk them into the eggs, and then you dredge them like that. Now, the meat filling is like a really it's just a traditional way to make them, but I know that lots of people make them with different kinds of filling, and you know, if you want to let me know down below in the comments what your favorite filling is, I would be happy to do a different, a different episode on rice balls with a different filling. Just let me know what your favorite is, and then I will pick one or a few different ones and definitely make this for you. So just coat every single one of them and get them back onto the same baking sheet just to make cleanup a little easier. Once you have all your rice balls dredged, you want to put them back on the same baking sheet. And I'm going to stick this into the fridge for about 15 minutes just to dry out a little bit, because if I were to fry them right now, the coating would burn way too quickly before the inside gets a chance to get really nice and hot and the cheese to melt. So I'm going to pop these into the fridge for about 15 minutes, and then I'll show you what they look like. Well, actually, no. They're going to come out and we're going to fry them together. So, in they go. My rice balls were in the fridge for about 30 minutes, and then they're ready for frying. Now, when you are ready for frying, get a baking sheet lined with some just some regular paper towels just to absorb all the extra oil, and get a nice big pot with about 3 inches of vegetable oil or canola oil. Get that to about 350 degrees. I've got a candy thermometer just to tell me that the temperature is perfect. So now we're going to pretty much drop them in and fry them up. You don't want to put more than 4 at a time because the temperature of the oil will drop. If the temperature of the oil drops, then what happens is they will absorb a lot of oil and actually fall apart because it just won't fry up. They won't get nice and crispy, and you don't want that. So I'm going to fry them 4 at a time for about 4 minutes, or until they're they're nice golden brown and crispy, and then I'm going to put them on the paper towel. I'm going to do all of them, and I'll show you what they look like once they're done. Taking the last one out. I've already fried the entire batch, which was about 13, and my friends that are hanging out with me today, they have taken about 5 of them already. So I'm left with just a few to show you. These are really, 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 really hot, so you really should let them cool a little bit longer. Oh, they're hot. Oh, look at that cheese. Oh, that is going to be so yummy, but it's so hot. Just give me a second while I cool this a little tiny bit. So yummy. Just like they should be, in my opinion. They're really crispy on the outside, super, super, sort of almost like creamy on the inside, which is exactly what you want. It's the perfect arancini. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me. Go to www.laurenkitchen.com to get this recipe. And remember, you can also make these much smaller, perfect for a cocktail party. That's about it, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.